Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with more Podfest Asia, the NFT Asia podcast. So without further ado, let me just introduce my next guest. His name is Michael Manning, the Collage Don. Collage Don, that's the right pronunciation for it. He uses collage to talk about his passions, mental health in the age of information, the health of our oceans and recycling, and culture at large. He also makes conceptual landscapes and make visual riddles. He makes dope collages. He's a Bitcoin maximalist and likes to experiment creatively with paper and glue. He's an award-winning and lifelong artist. Collage is the medium he's most excited about, and he has always returned to it creatively. So we'll be talking about his most recent self-portrait inspired by his trip to Bitcoin Miami, his NFT collection titled NRG, which stands for Non-Replaceable Genesis on Opensea. His art, why collage, why is he the Collage Don, and what's next for him creatively. So without further ado, let's welcome him to our virtual broadcasting studio. How are you, my friend?
Hey, what's up? I'm good, man. Doing great. Yeah, I'm so excited to be on. It's an honor. You know, I just entering this whole space, the metaverse. I've been surrounded by legends, so you're a legend.
And you are the legend as well, because I love artists who are doing creative things. Especially you are the Collage Don, right? So maybe we'll just deep dive into, your history, what got you started and going down this collage rabbit hole, you would like to call it. Yeah. So maybe just tell us and give us some context of your background as well, so that our audience can understand, what you're up to recently as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a rabbit hole, to say the least. Like, that's kind of the idea. My work, especially in person, because I do my collages on canvas. It wants you to scrutinize it. Like, that's the whole idea, is like, how can I reward your scrutiny? Like, literally, I can reward it. And collage is really like kind of crazy when you first see it, but then when you get close, you go, oh, okay. And the trick to it, to make a really good collage, is you need like a focal point. If it's just too much happening, people kind of go like, there's not a lot of lines, and it's all photographs. Like, it's photographs from magazines. I collect tons of magazines. I got the most random magazines right in front of me. They're all over the place. I got Lifetime. I got regular Time, and then come to find out, like, Time magazine always drops in on like Clubhouse, and like, it's been insane. The people I've met. So I've been collaging since I was about 11. I was always an illustrator. I took to painting and I took to drawing really naturally. I have synesthesia, which means that I kind of like, it's when certain stimulus gets paired up with other stimulus in your brain, which means that you can kind of feel things. Like it's like a sixth sense, right? It's like, but when I'm drawing, ever since I was a little kid, I can kind of feel what I'm looking at, no matter how far away it is. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not so easily described as just like, seeing sounds or something, but that's always helped me in portraying things that I observe. So I'm very sensitive to the colors, to just the feeling, the emotion of the work. So around 11, I started to share a room with my brother, my older brother, and we used to actually graffiti on our walls, right? But our parents compromised. They're like, yeah, you can't do that. No. You can't be drawing like our tags on the walls and stuff. Their compromise was we can collage on our walls, put posters up. And we're like, oh, you're going to let us collage because you think we can take it off? Okay, what if we cover the entire walls from head to toe, and everything that we buy, things from our friends, souvenirs, masks that we made over summer camp, like concert tickets, little wrappers from like M&M packets and Skittles. Like, we put everything on our walls, including, like cooler stuff than just trash, like DMX, like just culture. Like, and by the end of high school, so this was 7 years of work, our walls were covered from head to toe, and there was no white wall left. So I always came back to this technique, no matter if I learned graphic design or photography, all this stuff. So collage, as you could tell, is like, it's the technique that I'm most excited to talk about. I really feel, especially in my part of America, like I live in a collage. I'll wrap this long, crazy answer up with giving some people something to think about. If you look at the Webster Dictionary, A collage is defined as just a collection of items. And I find that a fascinating sentiment when, especially when you add that to NFT collecting and like just it's a collection of items. Like I just think that our identity can be defined by that. Like, you know, you could be best summed up by like my favorite T-shirt, my household, the home I grew up in, you know, my birth certificate, all these things, and they're just items. But I just think collage is a really good way to sum up the modern age. So I just love the technique. I'm obsessed with the technique and applying it to as many different things as I can.
And
that's why I'm the Collage Don.
Very singular artwork that we were staring at on screen earlier when we shared screen of your fantastic looking website. The gallery has so many different colors, and you know, I'm just very curious, like how many magazines or how many cutouts you have to actually amass in order to create even one singular piece. Is this like, you know, something that you have to, you know, really prepare your inventory before you start creating, or it's something that as you make and then you just create more, you know, cutouts and to find the right piece to create the final product?
Yeah, so what you're looking at on the website particularly is I'll just get a projector because I'm trying to do the form. This work I'm working on right now, there's a formula to it. So I call it cut, copy, paste. And it's like, it's real life Photoshop because collage was Photoshop before Adobe existed and Photoshop exploded the world. So what you're looking at is work that I'll get a canvas. Usually it's 3 feet by 3 feet. These again are pretty big in person, and I'll project an image that I found that I really like as like the skeleton. I'll trace it like from a projector. I'll trace it, and it kind of looks like a paint by number. So that's the skeleton of the piece. Then I'll go through tons of magazines, right? Like if I'm looking at Time magazine, this is a funny one. You can see there's like this funny like marsupial or something, like looking at, you know, he's like on his phone, which is super funny and ironic. But even if I'm looking for black, right? I'm looking for black. So I find a black cat. I'll rip that out. You know, blue. I'll find a picture of a dolphin and I'll use just the blue parts, right? So I'll collect tons of colors. Then step 3 is I'll apply those colors to those blocks of, you know, the skeleton, and I'll fill it in. And just, you know, there's darker blue, there's lighter blue, all these things. I'll fill it in like a giant puzzle, and I'm just ripping it. A big influence, I would say, and a good way to kind of get into my work is Jackson Pollock, honestly, because he's so turbulent with his work and he gets us to such a flow state. And even though I'm ripping paper, I'm really like, I'm just moving through it. I just want to kind of create this motion with my work, the way that I see the world. So then I'll glue it down with glue sticks, right? Just regular, I just use typical glue sticks that are like from Staples or Michaels. I use Scotch glue sticks. They dry clear. And I'll go through hundreds of glue sticks. Right now I'm in the process of finding a way to like, I want to make a canvas out of those glue sticks. Like I want to melt it down and then collage on top of that melted plastic so I can recycle it. But I'll do all that. Then the last stage, once I fill in all these things, right, just the main colors, then you can see like I'll hide all these little I spy items, I call it, where like my initials are M&M. So I'll find M&M advertisements in magazines and I'll hide the M&Ms in there. Sharks, like that one's got like tons of strawberries in it. That one's got boats because there's blue, like all these little items that you go, oh, okay, this isn't just a flower. Oh my God, that's magazine pages. Oh my God, that's not just a painting. That's this other thing, right? So I'm always challenging people to look closer, look harder. And it makes my work really conversational. It's more than just decorative art. It's very like, people like bringing their friends, be like, yo, did you see this? These are photographs, like look closer. You know, on Big Poppy's shoulder, that's a picture of his mother. Oh my gosh, in the back, that's the badge from the Boston Police Department. Like there's like, because they're really big. And when you look closer, people go, oh my God, this is so much fun. So I have fun seeing it come together just the same way that my fans do. Like, because I do have a focal point and I have a goal that I'm shooting at, but it's just fun to see it, like, just see the balance. Because every item I put, like if I put a dark item in the corner, then I want to put a light thing here. Like I have practice in this. I've been doing this for a long time, and I just know how to balance the colors and make it feel, all together. So I've done about 30 of these things now, and again, they range in size and subject matter. But I use collage to talk about my passions, and hopefully, as you could tell, I want people to look at collage in a whole different way. It's not just like one thing. It's like, look, it's a way for me to say I'm truly inspired by everything around me, and just look at the day and age that we live in. Just like look at the beauty that we're surrounded by. So that's collage.
You have rekindled my interest in collage art, and I think the last time was probably back in the year I was born, 1977, when the Sex Pistols, right, released Nevermind the Bollocks. And I remember the logo of the album and everything was collage art, and that has left such a big impact and imprint in my mind that until today, right, whenever I see something similar to that, it reminded me of that album. But after interviewing you and meeting you today, right, I think the first thing that pops out my mind will be you and your fantastic website. And of course, you've just walked us through this amazing process of how you put everything together. So, I'm really interested in the history of, this surprising history of collage art. And some may even like give it different tag names, like it's like a stick 'em up culture, right? So perhaps you could also give us a brief history lesson here. Because I'm fully aware that the Sex Pistols didn't invent collage art. Yeah, it's not also as modern as we think. It's like a very enthralling, or should I say exciting history that goes behind it. And people have been cutting and pasting for almost a millennium, right? So perhaps you could give us a short history lesson here. Like, is it considered as a modern artistic technique that started actually way before, and even the word itself, right? Is it from that French verb called collar, which means to stick? So it's like how this perhaps a tagline of stick 'em up, culture is used to describe this kind of art. So walk us through this history.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I think collage, just where it came to me was, I'll start with this. Again, it's like, I'm so passionate about art, but something I want people to think about was the way that collage was presented to me in college was that it was responsible for one of the first works of pop art, modern day pop art. I think so. The same guy that made the White Album for the Beatles, this guy named Richard Hamilton, he's widely credited in colleges as creating one of the first works of pop art. It has this long title, this collage, and it says like, what makes the modern home so unique, so fascinating. And it's a collage of a muscle man holding a giant lollipop, and on the lollipop it says pop. So that's another reason people kind of go, oh, that's pop art. It kind of took off. It exploded. People loved it. On the ceiling is a moon, right? How more relevant could that be nowadays? To the moon, to the moon, to the moon. And it's pop. It's just pop art. And so what's weird about that moment in time, again, I'm going to butcher the date. It's 19th. Let me think. Richard Hamilton, it's beyond 19, like, I would say the earliest. Again, I'm blanking. It's been a while since I looked at it.
In 1967 or around 68, right? 1967.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's around that time.
Yeah. So he was like, what's weird is that he there's a blank point in art history books with collage, and I just see an opportunity there where collage made an impression on me, and it allowed me to express myself in a way I needed to at this time. And so I see an opportunity there to look at our modern age in a light that people haven't, to use techniques that, you know, there's the street art movement, there's Banksy, you got all this bold stuff with Shepard Fairey. But I do think that magazines and images, my work is very much about the power of imagery and the access to imagery. I see an opportunity there. And it's my legacy play. I do a lot of art. I'm multidisciplinary, but I just see an opportunity to leave a mark. And I want people to see the beauty that collage has to offer. So Richard Hamilton, I would look him up, look at his work again. And another person I have to bring up in terms of art history would be Barbara Kruger, who made the I Shop, Therefore I Am piece of work. And some people would recognize kind of her aesthetic through like Supreme. If you've ever heard of the brand Supreme, it's like this really bold typeface with it's a red box around it. It's super simple, but like it feels very collage because there's these photographs and then text, boom, boom. And she doesn't get not enough people know that name. So I would look to her work as well for just like the oomph behind it. Yeah, very graphic designed, very much graphic design.
This is fantastic. And of course, you know, we do ask you because besides creating such great original art, right, and also going through such a huge and long process to just create one piece of art. But of course, you know, you are getting more efficient and even better at what you've been doing, you know, by doing this for years, right? So, you know, we are quite amazed by your entire process, by your body of work. We also know that you're also a Bitcoin maximalist. I think that's a word, you know, that normally conjures up images of people who are like, you know, not totally happy with altcoins. Like they are always only about all, you know, it's either Bitcoin or go home, right? So are you one of those who are, you know, like people like to pigeonhole you and put you in boxes and actually, you know, people who they might even think that, you know, these are people who are toxic in the crypto space. So tell us, you know, whether these are just myths and are you different than other Bitcoin maximalists?
Oh, yeah, I have no loyalty to any coin, but maximalist in the way that like people don't give it enough credit. I was into Bitcoin in 2013. Again, of course, my brother, the person I shared a room with, put me onto it. We all thought he was loopy crazy, but we kept an eye on it. I had like, I don't want to talk too much money, but I had about like $10 in Bitcoin in 2013. And 2017, it took off and I made my money and I did what I did. But that being said, that was insane. I mean, you compare what happened with Bitcoin to what happened with the stock. And like, I mean, the money I made with Bitcoin was more than I ever made with like any other name I could put in there, whether it's freaking Apple or any other silly thing. So that got my attention. And I took that. What's funny was that I was a maximalist before this. It became like lexicon and like colloquial, like the way that we say like you hear Bitcoin maximalist, right? Like a lot, especially on Clubhouse, like, or Twitter Spaces. Again, if you guys don't know what these things are, if you're listening to this, please get on it. Like you're 6 months late, a year late. I was late, but whatever. And I consider my work maximalism because I do think it's a good way to talk about the information age. I used to, especially when Facebook first came, I felt a blurring of lines, the personalized internet, social media, the changing of where we get our news. That is maximalism. It's the opposite of minimalism. It's a great metaphor for life. It's like here, listen to this. Maximalism is a lack of white space, right? Like you're like literally like within the canvas, right? Like you're filling in as much information as you possibly can, but you have to balance that with like I was saying earlier, like you need a focal point. Like my self-portrait, right? You have me. That's the first thing you see when you're far away. And you get closer, you're like, oh my God, there's a waterfall behind his eye. There's a castle, right? That's maximalism. Everything is something, and it is a little bit of everything. Like So that's my aesthetic. But I would definitely also agree. Like, I'm not your typical maximalist because, like, it's still super early. I want to shout out my friend GodCloud, who created this really funny reels, which is on Instagram. Again, if you don't know, you better know. But
he was on our show a couple of months ago when I was doing a NFT Asia festival. He's among one of my first 1,000 guests. He's one of the first, I think, finger drummer. I think that's his other name, right? So he's an incredible artist. Yeah. So when we mentioned GodCloud, he just brings a smile to my face.
Yes. So Stratosphere, all those things, he's doing killer work. But he had a funny reels. It's just a funny reference where he we hear this word all the time now. It's early, and he has this thing where he keeps on turning to the camera. He's like, early. We're all early, but it's true, and it's important. It is important to remind ourselves because, as you can see, I'm so excited about all this stuff, and I mean, I could take it a million different ways, but hopefully, we'll look back at the year 2021 and think like, we were so early, and there was so much happening, and then it went this way, and it went this way, right? Like, I was just looking at videos when I went to Bitcoin Miami, and that was only 5 months ago, but it feels like a year ago. And just taking that back all in. So yes, I went to Bitcoin Miami, and I met some amazing legends, just absolute legends, which I would consider you a part of that. So
I think one of the legends, we definitely have to name drop him, Jimmy Song, right? Bitcoin advocate. So did you get to meet him in person, Jimmy Song? He was on our podcast also a couple of months ago. So yeah, he's one of those OG in the space. And I think since we're on the topic of Bitcoin maximalism, right? I think Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, is also well known in the world as a Bitcoin maximalist. And he has actually put his money where his mouth is, right? I think this past week, his company just rolled up Bitcoin tipping. So it's like 300 million active users. So I've been looking at the Collage Don website. So one of the ways you actually bring in revenue, to actually provide, probably, more streams of income, right, for your art, is to actually sell posters and T-shirts and stuff like that. So you find that, Twitter turning on this Bitcoin tipping service is a great service to artists like you who are creating incredible work and deserve, to have more, ways where you are cutting out the middleman and being able to actually, sell directly to your consumers or to your followers. Is that something that you're happy to see? Like anyone could just send or receive Bitcoin, right, by sharing a wallet address or using, I think Jack Dorsey has an app that's called Strike, if I'm not wrong. I haven't used it yet. I'm really interested on how to turn on that Bitcoin tipping in Twitter. Are you already, on the pulse of the action?
I'm still learning that, but again, I would agree. Just people need to pay attention to this. That would be the stance that I take in my maximalism, right? Is just like, let's give these people the funds and the respect, because the potential here, people like, again, I won't talk too much money, but just yesterday, I'm like furious because my money is on hold. The bank says, "Oh, wait, it's my money," and they're saying, "Wait until October 1st till you can get it." Bitcoin is instantaneous. You get it. You send as much as you want all over the world. You do whatever you want to do. Ecuador is getting into all this fascinating conversations. Oh my God! It's just a beautiful time. And in terms of opening up my market to different places in the world, like I don't know, Brazil, Portugal, right? Like, I've had the opportunity to meet people I would have never met because it's a different in. It's a different in, right? And my most recent self-portrait, which if you kind of scroll around, you'll be able to find on my Twitter. I won't, again, no pressure. I'm just bringing it up for the audience. If you want to check out, I am the Collage Don on everything. You'll see my latest self-portrait. There's me holding the moon, and if you look nice and close, there's all these references to kind of like Ecuador and Bitcoin and the Bitcoin conference and everything. I just think that it's an opportunity for people to understand finance and value differently. I think the only thing we should value from now on is authenticity, and that applies to so many beautiful things. Just being like, I'm going to give you your money when you want it, and it's your money now, and it's like trustless, right? And like, I don't know, it's just, it's such a beautiful thing. That right there was a collaboration that's on Opensea that I did with a amazing artist. Oh my freaking God. Novatic. And again, the Bitcoin space, the crypto space has allowed me to meet people that are just beyond cool. We worked out a deal, but still the fact that this artist got back to me and said, yeah, let's work on something. I know how to do 3D design. I just haven't had After Effects on my computer in the last 4 years because it's so ridiculously expensive. But I sent him over my self-portrait, and he sent me back this. And it's me entering the blockchain. It's like a mesh of blocks and chains, and it's my self-portrait, which you saw on my website. So that was really exciting. But you can get that in Ethereum on Opensea. And yeah, my art is also very much been influenced by all this stuff. Yeah.
I just love your Twitter. I'm just like, starting it before, we came on this evening. And yeah, you have so much great art, and you're retweeting and also sharing a lot of what the other artists in the community are doing, right? I think that's one of the great byproduct of that collaborative mindset, right? And I'm just looking at a 3D art, that's probably one of the coolest visual effects or animation I've seen in the past month. So I'm so glad I'm following you on Twitter. So I'm, kind of like in a cool crowd now, knowing what kind of artists are creating some of the best and, most impressive art out there right now. So since we were still talking about, Jack Dorsey and Twitter, right, earlier on. So do you think that, the world has been waiting for something like this, like for decades? Media and culture have been like borderless, right? But payments have not. And, we've been able to use credit cards and crypto internationally, but there's still no like easy one-click tool, right? That's plugged directly into the apps that we use every day. Yeah. And Twitter's Bitcoin tipping feature could probably change that. And also maybe spur the likes of YouTube, maybe TikTok and others to follow suit. Maybe adding NFTs as a form of ID as well. So Twitter has kind of pledge to do to help make crypto communities even more mainstream. So are you spending most of your time on Twitter these days more than the other social platform as a result, of all these great communities that are living and breathing 24/7 over there?
Yeah, I would say so. What's funny is last night was the longest on my Twitter Spaces. Sorry, Jack. Sorry if you're ever seeing this. God bless you. I'm a fan, and but Twitter Spaces hadn't been working for like a month. I just got it updated, and last night I was on Clubhouse, I was on Twitter Spaces listening to Farouk and other really great people talk. But yeah, I think, like I said, they need help, and they deserve help because, again, this is a distribution of value, of creativity, of just like, it's a whole different way to distribute like democratically and fairly. And I think that they deserve more help. Again, they're not perfect, right? But I don't know. I hear a lot of, I would describe it as like first world problems, people complaining about this stuff when, again, there's so much opportunity behind it. It's like, shut up about like, I don't really like his beard, or he's kind of weird, or like, again, he's not perfect. You're right. I agree. He's not perfect, but the guy deserves a hell of just so much more credit and help. And he deserves to be listened to more. I do think he's treated pretty unfairly sometimes. And I mean, I just think we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin Miami conference for the next year or 2 years. Like, what happened there? When I was there, you could feel it in the air. It's indescribable. Okay. Like, that's the best way to describe it. It's just, I can't even tell you how many things happened when I was there. Just meeting people, making connections. Like, thank you, whoever got me there. It was profound.
I wish I could be there, and it must be a life-changing experience for everyone who attended, right? And right in the middle of the pandemic, but the numbers of people who attended that event is still incredible. Were they like distributing POAPs, during the event? Like, there's this new POAP trend, right?
Oh my dude, I'm so angry. I didn't know about I didn't know about the Popes until recently, and I didn't get any from Bitcoin Miami. But I did get other stuff, but no, I didn't get any of those. I've been collecting them recently as much as I can, right? Like Discord. Oh my God, Discord. And Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I have like two, but they're dear to me because it's like it's also like wow, what a fascinating way to think about value.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I was there for this legendary meeting. Crazy. Yeah. Do you have a couple?
You mentioned, about the POAPs. I have a couple that I've collected from Decentraland, and initially I was like, "Oh, I've attended this cool Sotheby's event for Bored Apes, right? How I wish I could maybe take away something along with me." So I remember that before I entered using my browser, I connected my MetaMask. So like I didn't even have to leave my Ethereum address on any guest book or anything, right? And just a day or two later, they just sent me a link to claim that particular events Pope. So I think that's pretty cool. It's like I don't have to do anything, just connect.
Yeah.
And just by showing up, you get some cool NFTs for free. So why the fuck not, right? So I think this is a great way to actually tell people that I was there at that Bored Apes event. I think this is definitely game changing. And you mentioned also about hiccups. You mentioned about to really accept like accidents are bound to happen. Things are never perfect, especially since we are so early in this space, right? Everyone is still experimenting. Things are not supposed to be perfect the first time. Even
early.
El Salvador government, they had some bumpy, I think, Bitcoin rollout. Even their app or their wallet don't really work well, and people are protesting on the street. So yeah, I mean, we could really understand because that's like bread and butter issues for some, but long-term wise, they are definitely gonna benefit, when Bitcoin becomes 100,000 next year or becomes 200,000 a few years time. I think this is definitely going to be something that will be obvious to see, like how it has changed the country, and actually help the people who are living in poverty to maybe rise up and go to be able to progress economically, and of course this is going to open up more opportunities for the country as well. So before we let you go, we definitely want to talk about NRG and also what's going to happen to you creatively next. Tell us your future plans as well. So please talk us through and talk to us about your future plans.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne. So I just wanted to say a couple quick points. Yes, we do need to focus on what's happening with Ecuador. We need to think about, again, we're not perfect by any means. We need to focus on kind of privacy is something we need to figure out about. And then everyone's kind of worried about taxes, but whoop-de-doo, welcome to the club. Like that's the price of entry is like, time to figure out all that stuff. So we have some big things we need to address in the community, but there is a community and there are people that were dope before this thing came along that people are kind of like, I don't like it. It's weird. Or I don't like the name crypto, or I don't like the fact that like it's associated with like, this name and that name and shit coins and altcoins, right? Like, it's but once you're in it, you love it and you get it. It's like having Rajon Rondo on your team. Like, I don't know if you know him as an NBA player. When he's on your team, you love him. When he's off your team, Rajon. Okay, so, but no, yeah. So I made an NFT drop. It's called NRGs. So low key, it's kind of like a funny way of me being like, I'm watching the NFT space really closely, and I love the NFT community. But we're still very early, and even I have a couple ways that I'm like, what if the NFTs go this way, that way? So I made my own class. It's called NRGs, Non-Replaceable Genesis, right? And Genesis is this word that people throw around saying like it's my first entry into the blockchain. So that's all that is, a non-replaceable Genesis. And so I've dropped about like 16 of them. They're on Opensea for there's a buy now generation and then there's an auction generation. So they're all tokenized. So there's some that are tokenized with a frame and it says it on it. It says the date that it was put onto the blockchain, right? It's got my logo on it, and it's tokenized in a way that you're like, yeah, that's the official one. I got a Michael Manning and NRG, like his first stuff that he entered. And then I have ones that are these holographic cards that I worked with an artist who he wants to remain nameless, but amazing talent. And those have unlockable content, which have some t-shirts and then anything else that I'm going to be doing coming up. You have to basically, if you want it, you got to get the NRG. So that's the idea behind the NRGs. Also, a quick story behind NRGs. When I was a kid, I wrote a comic, and in the comic there was a villain, and the villain was grabbing the world's energy. Like spelled like those letters, like NRG, energy. And I always thought it was funny that, like, again, I've been drawing since I was a little kid, but I found another way to bring up this thing that I did when I was in 5th grade. I was like, yo, like, no one else sees the fact that these letters together kind of spell the word like energy, like phonetically, it kind of sounds like my energy, like I'm using my energy to run. Like, it's kind of funny. So it's like a full circle moment. So that's cool. And I'm watching it and interacting and trying to help other artists as much as I can, onboarding people, getting them familiarized with the terminology. You know, it's weird. It's like every day I have a different way to explain, like, oh, maybe you should start in the metaverse. You know, I don't think everyone should just start on Opensea, but that's what worked for me. And we're all learning from each other. So for every friend of mine that's on Nifty Gateway or Foundation or all these other places, I'm learning something from them just the same way they're learning from me. So that's community. And we're all sharing this energy. We're all sharing and learning from each other and spreading it. And it's a beautiful thing. Hopefully that kind of, I gave like a couple of different answers there, but again, collage, right? Like there's so much in a collage that, like, once you pull back and see it, you know?
I think you tie it up really, really well with this collage of answers and so many great points that you mentioned that we can actually go and deep dive into more, but because of a lack of time, but maybe just summarize a few key things or takeaways. I think you mentioned about the Metaverse, very super spot on. There's so many new opportunities in the Metaverse and new tools, right? New apps. I think today we even talk about this Bitcoin tipping feature on Twitter, like a new devices to even like connect to this immersive medium. Do you own any VR headsets, by the way? I intend to do a lot.
Dude, the Metaverse kept me company all through the craziest year ever, 2020. I was just starting to think back about it. And around this time was when I got onto Twitch, which you can get on your smart device, people. Twitch is dope. There's like a lot of people that aren't just playing video games, they're podcasting. And then there's this little thing on it. It's called Twitch. It's this little thing that kept me company throughout all of 2020. I met some really great people. Then from Twitch, I went, which I consider that part of the metaverse. Like, it's very intimate. Like, you're very much like you're typing, chatting with people. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm doing that. You can talk all this stuff. From Twitch, I got onto Clubhouse, which, again, crazy story. I got myself onto Clubhouse. I didn't get an invite from anybody, really. I went to the website. I got on the wait list, and they said, if you have any friends that have the app, we'll send you an invite through them. So, like, the person that nominated me, I haven't, like, thank you, but I kind of did this weird back, like, loophole thing. Like, I got myself on the Clubhouse when it was still invite only, and then from there I got myself on the stage, and then from there I went to Bitcoin Man. Like, it just snowballed, and it kind of all started for me with like metaverses and watching people play in Decentraland on Twitch, and I was like, what is this? And then they talked about this. So that was my in, and everyone else has different stories. So yeah,
I think you just break it down for us. You know, all these metaverse opportunities and how you were just hopping from one, form or place or platform where people congregate to the next, and this is all very exciting, right? Like after Clubhouse, and then maybe Decentraland. After Decentraland, what's next? Do you think that the next trend in NFTs are gonna be like DAOs? Like people are already talking about DAOs even way back in April, right? Decentralized autonomous organizations, and this is like a new way or new form of actually a new structure for people to organize themselves. So are you part of any DAOs or anyone that you are participating in right now?
See, so this is when I'm going to tell you it's early, but like in a bad way for me, but that's just my comfort. That's my comfort with it. Again, it's just, I'm not part of any DAOs, but only because, again, there's a great room on Clubhouse that's called NFT as Tips, and they got me there. And again, this is my perspective. Do whatever you want, but I'm just watching DAOs very, very closely. I'm trying to understand them better because it's like a voting system, and I don't know. So again, my point being, my understanding of what they are yet, I'm not there. But also discos I'm watching, which is like DSCO, which is another form of a DAO. There's a few different things, and I would encourage everyone listening to do their own research. But hopefully I exposed you to something new. That would be my goal, Collage. But yeah, there's a lot to, even the POAP. If you didn't know what Oh my God, download it, get it, familiarize with it. I'm watching closely. I was involved with the Stratosphere DAO for showing in Beijing, China recently, with Ali Sabet. Look him up. He's an Iranian American artist, contemporary artist, beautiful illustrator from the NFT space. And so Stratosphere, I was a part of, but that was with 500 other artists too. And we showed our work in the Cathay viewing area in China, in Beijing, China. So DAOs are doing amazing things, and I'm watching very closely, yes. And I like them right now, but I need to, I'm looking, I am looking to get into one, yeah. I mean, like, that would be cool. But I need to figure it out. So.
Fantastic. I think you just nailed it again. It's like the more equal opportunity, yeah, for people of all backgrounds. I think this is what this decentralization is all about, what cryptocurrency and the NFT space is all about, and everyone taking care of each other as well and coming together to collaborate. So I think there are, of course, some challenges involved as well. You already mentioned, like all tech breakthroughs, they are all two-edged swords. So there are always potential risks for like breach or privacy or data security or stuff like that. And even virtual worlds could be pretty addictive. Like if you're wearing, your VR headset, right? Sometimes you just don't want to live VR.
I remind people though that that's such a like it's important to say it like this. It's a first world problem. People go like, oh, it's so addicting. Here's what I want to kind of leave people with. Have you seen the movie The Social Dilemma? It was on Netflix. It's really popular. It was like super popular.
Yeah.
So that movie had a couple individuals in it, a couple families in it, a couple people that the story was about. But people turn off that movie and they forget the movie was about you, Wayne. That movie was about me also. Okay, like we are all. I'm on a meeting in a Zoom thing. Like we're talking. You're in Singapore. I'm in
Singapore,
Boston,
yeah.
right? Yeah. This is a beautiful thing. So if we can all sorry for my frankness. My middle name is literally Frank, but if we can all shut the fuck up about our first world problems, like, oh, it's so addicting, all this stuff, right? We could teach our children some beautiful things. Like there's so many opportunities. Like someone said it to me like this. Imagine if you could send your children to school and without the shadow of a doubt, who everyone in that community and in that school is, that they have a reputation of being amazing teachers, amazing people, and you have like I don't know, it's just there's a lot of opportunity in these things in social media and things like that. And if we could turn off our paranoia for a second and think about ways of teaching our children coding, teaching our children responsible ways to get through the internet, which I didn't have, right? The internet when I was on it was wild, and it still is wild. If we can tame the wild for our children, they could be doing some amazing things, like sending people to Mars and fixing the plastic problems and healing the oceans. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of things that we could apply to stuff that is outside the metaverse. We learn it through the metaverse.
I super love that. I think like banning it is definitely not the solution. Like what China is doing to like restrict, their kids, below certain age, like only 3 hours of game time. I'm like, what? So they're gonna be falling even way behind than the rest of the world. The global citizens are gonna really get a hang of this, right? All this digital economy and creator economy, and it all started with games. So it's like banning is not a solution. It might even make people seek out those things even more. Yeah. Just like how when they banned albums by NWA back in the day, basically the signal to me to go get the album, because when it's being banned, it must be good. So I love that. This is probably, one way to wrap up this show. And this is a segment that I usually do with every singular guest that come on Profess Asia and our network of shows. I have a rapid fire round where you're required to just give me really short and pithy response, maximum of 1 or 2 sentences. So are you ready to play this game?
I'm born ready, yeah.
I super love that. Okay, so here we go. What are your proudest life moments?
Proudest life moments, wow.
Snappy answers, come on.
I'll probably look back at this and be like, this was a moment.
Amazing. What do you want doing less of in 2021?
turn up.
What do you want doing more of in 2021?
Turn up, get louder. Experiment more.
What would you want written or carved on your tombstone? I know this is a little bit morbid, but it's just for fun.
Yo, I'm a Gemini. They say that we're constantly conflicted. So my brain, you say that, and I start going like this way, that way. Okay, so what do I want carved on my tombstone? Have fun.
Your advice for NFT artists out there?
Experiment and be brave, and also allow time to kind of relax and get good sleep. Please get good sleep. You could stay up late like once a week, but like it's very exciting, but you have to take care of yourself. That's really important. You're not going to be able to do anything if you're just burning yourself out. Please find sleep. It's very important. Yes.
Any future ambitions or side projects in the pipeline?
Yeah, getting back into my 3D design work. I went to school for graphic design, and I took a couple of 3D design classes that were really, it was like in college. It was really elementary, but I learned a lot with just my friends and doing like passion projects. So I want to get back into doing that more and doing more illustrative work. I got the new iPad, which is light years ahead of the old iPad with the magnetic pencil. Okay, because the pencil used to go here and it'd snap off. So dumb. Sorry, Apple. Really, really dumb. And so more digital work. Yeah. And
the LiDAR sensor in the new iPad is awesome, right? It allows you to just scan your sneaker shoe, and it just is something that you could just import as a 3D object in the Metaverse.
Yeah, Face app. I was using the Face app. I've scanned my face a couple times, and that's how I did that collaboration. I sent him over like a scan of my face, and then he applied that to my self-portrait. Crazy. Yeah, I couldn't have done it without the LiDAR.
Last one. How can people reach you?
Yeah, through my website, the Collage Don, and then I'm the Collage Don on all social media. That's Twitter. Instagram is my favorite. It's just like very visual. I just like it the most. People cry about Twitter, but it's an amazing, or about Instagram, but it's an amazing tool. It's my favorite tool. And then I'm working on a Discord, but you can find me at the Collage. Just search the Collage Don. COLLAGE Don DON on all social media and things like that.
Amazing. So I think with that, we're going to say goodbye to you. Any last words or message to our listeners who are replaying this podcast on their AirPods or on their smart speakers later on?
It's my slogan, just rip in peace.
Super love that. Thank you for coming on. I can't thank you enough. So keep crushing, and I look forward to see more of your collage artwork. And hopefully one of these days I could own one of your pieces. So I'm definitely going to check out what you're going to come up with next time. So take care of yourself. Take care of everyone over there. Goodbye.
Rock and roll.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's a wrap for tonight. Time check, 12:11 a.m. Another late night. So we're going to just take a break for a couple of days. I think on Thursday, we have Spotty Wi-Fi. I think it's the first ever NFT musician who has minted his entire album as an NFT. He's coming on to the NFT Asia podcast to share with us, how he's able to achieve that, and maybe share more tips with us on how to take his music creation to the next level. So with that, it's a good night and goodbye to everyone. Cheers.